The 2024 season is over for the New York Football Giants, but John Mara is already making decisions for 2025. We're going to talk about Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen on today's video, but first make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I am Marshall Green, and you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. We put out videos, multiple videos. That's what we're doing this offseason. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Multiple videos every single day for free on the biggest news and rumors surrounding this football team. So if you want the best New York Giants coverage all offseason long, hit that subscribe button and let's reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers by the time of week 1. Wow. Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen, you are safe. Both of them are back as the general manager and head coach duo for the New York Football Giants. There was a lot of speculation over the past couple months, really, or so. I remember doing videos reacting to reports in October that John Mara did not want to make changes in season and did not expect to make changes in the offseason. Well, it's day 1 of the offseason, and he is not making any changes. Mara released a statement on his decision to keep Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll as the duo running his football team. This is how it read, quote, "Now that our season is over, we felt it necessary to make this statement. Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll will continue in their respective roles with the organization. As disappointing as the results of this season have been for Steve Tisch and I remain confident in the process that Joe and Brian have implemented and their vision for our team. We look forward to the future and achieving the results we all desire." Before I share my thoughts, I want to hear from you in the comments section. What is your one-word reaction to the New York Football Giants keeping Brian Daboll as their head coach and keeping Joe Schoen as their general manager? Let me know down in the comments section. My one-word reaction on January 6, 2025 is expected. Over the last week or so, we kind of got the feeling here at Chat Sports that Mara was going to keep Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. And we kind of got confirmation of that yesterday when multiple NFL insiders really spoke their piece and what they thought and believed. We did a video on the channel yesterday following the loss against the Eagles where we also broke down the latest reports across the NFL. And Adam Schefter on ESPN and their Sunday morning countdown show, he did a segment where he went over every head coach that he believes is on the hot seat, and he said he thinks that Brian Daboll is safe. I hold weight in what Adam Schefter has to say. I also hold a lot of weight to what Jay Glazer has to say. When Jay Glazer speaks, we should listen. He works for Fox Sports. He is, my opinion, the most tapped-in reporter, if you want to call him that, in the National Football League. He was the only one to have the scoop last year that Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale wanted to fight. Still can't believe that. And he had it yesterday that he said Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are most likely safe. And while I had been pushing for Joe Schoen to be fired over the last couple of weeks, really for about a month now, it became really evident that Joe Schoen was not going to be fired. I still think he deserves to be fired. I don't think Joe Schoen has done a good enough job in his first 3 years as a general manager of the New York Football Giants to remain as head honcho. But it doesn't really matter what I want at this point. It doesn't really matter what I think at this point. Joe Schoen is going to be back for 2025. The shocker of this, if there really is one, is Brian Daboll. There were multiple people that cover this league and multiple people that cover this team that use the expression, Brian Daboll is a dead man walking. That was all the way up until last week. This week, though, it kind of felt like it shifted. People that I talked to, people that just covered this team, they weren't as strongly opinionated that Brian Daboll was going to be fired. And he is back. And I'll say this, while I don't love the idea of Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen being back, I like the idea of both of them being back a hell of a lot more than Joe Schoen being back and Brian Daboll being fired. We did multiple videos on this channel talking about the worst decision that John Mara can make this offseason is splitting up the Buffalo duo. There's been a lot of talk that they aren't a package deal, and I understand that. 9 times out of 10, a head coach that gets hired, a rookie head coach that gets hired by a rookie GM, that's not going to be the only only hire the GM gets to make at the head coach spot. But in this situation, I actually do believe that Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are a package duo, and I am more glad, happier. It's really early. My brain's still barely working. That Joe Schoen, if with him being back, I am happy that Brian Daboll is back as well, because I think the situation of Joe Schoen being here on the hot seat after you fire Brian Daboll would let head coaches know that you're probably 1 or 2 bad seasons away from cleaning house. I hope that John Mara, and we'll kind of wrap up with this point here. I hope John Mara, as he sat down with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, accepts that he needs to be patient. Nothing, unless something crazy happens, unless this train falls off the track, nothing results-wise, wins-losses-wise, in my opinion, should really change his stance on Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. What I mean by that is you should not be entering 2025 with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen on the hot seat. Why? Because you don't want to be the Chicago Bears. That is the last team, the last organization you want to be. The Giants are going to draft a quarterback this year. I'm 99.9% sure of that. And the last thing a rookie quarterback needs is to have the head coach and GM fired after his rookie season, which means he would be on head coach number 2, offensive coordinator number 2, and general manager number 2 by the time he enters his second season in the NFL. You want to know how you screw up a young quarterback? Is by not having stability around them, by continuously changing the butts in the seats of the decision makers of your organization. Do not enter 2025 with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen on the hot seat, because the last thing you want to be is the Bears. Why do I say the Bears? Because after the Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky, they fired the head coach after 1 year. After the Bears drafted Justin Fields, they fired the head coach after 1 year. And after the Bears drafted Caleb Williams, they fired that head coach midway through the season. And that's why the Bears are the Bears, the worst run organization in the National Football League. Giants are right behind them, but you could pass them as the worst if you do the same thing they did 3 times in a row, and it has not worked out. So don't do that, please, unless something crazy happens. I'll end with this. Well, I had been pushing for Brian Daboll to be fired. I do believe he probably should have been fired, and I do believe Joe Schoen should have been fired. But there's not many coaches out there that I would have taken over Brian Daboll. Excuse me as I wipe my nose. That I would have taken over Brian Daboll. One of the only guys that I was really gung-ho about was Mike Vrabel. And it sounds like Mike Vrabel already has a handshake agreement to be the next head coach of the New England Patriots. And I don't hate the idea, and I can hear myself saying this in previous shows before, I do not hate the idea of Brian Daboll working with, hopefully, Cam Ward. I love the idea of a young quarterback working with Brian Daboll. I do. Not sure I like many other things about Brian Daboll's coaching. Got to be better on 3rd down. Got to be better on 4th down. Got to be better in the red zone. And got to be better on 2-point conversion plays. If you're going to be the head coach and you're going to be the offensive coordinator, you have to give the Giants a winning advantage. And the way I look at that is those 4 categories: 2-point plays, red zone offense, 3rd down conversions, and 4th down conversions. The Giants have been bottom of the NFL in the last 2 years for a lot of reasons, but under Brian Daboll's watch. I'm hoping in 2025 it's a little bit better with a new QB. So news of the day: Brian Daboll, you are back. Joe Schoen, you are back. And the New York Giants, they are running it back. No changes are made. That's why I subscribe to the channel. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon on your way out. And reminder, give me your one-word reaction to the news of the day.